Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the newest episode of the Introduction Podcast. And oh boy, I'm excited for this one. Today, we're speaking with Karen. Karen, hi, nice to meet you. And please tell us more about yourself.
Hi, Nick. Thank you for the invite to be here. So I'm a mechanical engineer by training, and my career has actually gone through a lot of different directions than most people would expect. I started in automotive and lean manufacturing. I moved into enterprise agile transformation. There's like a lot of leaps in between there. And today I help organizations navigate complex change by building the leadership, governance, and operating models that make it sustainable. I also spend time advising executives and boards on governance, strategy, and emerging issues like AI. I'm really quite proud of the work that I've done with Ontario Tech through Women for STEM. I've recently joined the Board of Governors for Western University, and I'm a public appointee to the Council of Professional Geoscientists Ontario.
This is amazing. And it was very interesting for me to talk to you because you're the person that observed multiple cycles of transformation, and a lot of leaders that I speak with or interview, they all like it. I have an impression and a feeling that for them, AI is kind of like the first ever transformation. Like transformation never ever happened to them before. This is the first time they are facing disruption, or the first time they're facing technology, or the first time they're facing like change management that needs to go alongside this transformation. But it's not like as you like in your career, you experienced multiple cycles of transformation, first in manufacturing, then with agile, now it's with AI. So I'm curious, in your perspective, what do you think this conviction really comes from? What are the similarities? Why AI is maybe different in a way that it stands out so much from other cycles of transformation?
So continuous improvement has always been the theme and the core of what I do from manufacturing, right? Like at the plant floor, it's all about quality engineering and building a better product, to lean, which is like building better products through optimizing your process, and then agile and AI and what that means in technology. It's always been the same for me. It's all about making things better. I think the core of transformation is that change, right? Like we're trying to go from one thing to the next, and we're always striving for something better. And we just have different terms for it. Maybe it's a lean transformation. Maybe it's an agile transformation. And now like the current thing that's top of mind is AI transformation. But AI itself and technology itself is not really new. Even the organizations that have been most traditional, least open to change, they still have technology. They're still using laptops and phones. Like there's technology. What AI, and especially Gen AI, I think that's like AI has been around for a long time. Gen AI is what exploded on the scene a couple of years ago. And that's what everybody is associating with AI and Gen AI and all the capabilities through ChatGPT and Copilot and all that. And I think because it's moving so fast, people think they have to jump on and like move with it. But I think because it's moving so fast, you need to not just run with it and adopt for the sake of adoption. You shouldn't also like hold back until everything is done and like, make sure, because I think it moves too fast. You have to move with it. You have to move at a pace that feels right and is responsible. But you have to move with it. You can't like constantly be in front, because a lot of the organizations, 90% of like organizations are not that startup forefront culture. They're trying to use what exists and like make it work for them. So trying to always be in front of the innovators is maybe not necessarily the right approach, but you don't want to be so far behind that you can't keep up and that you become obsolete and outdated in your thinking or your approach. The change, you don't want the gap to be so big that you can't close the gap.
Yeah. And I feel that that's the real mastership of doing the transformation in the right way, where you don't have to lag behind, but you cannot afford to lag behind, but jumping in on every opportunity because of fear of missing out is also like not the right approach. I'm curious, what made you interested in the topic of transformation? Because going from mechanical engineering and, deciding that machine is not the most interesting thing in the room. The human operating the machine, or humans that are around that machine, are the most interesting. And seeing an impact about changing how those people work, and like lean is an approach to work, the way that you do things. Same thing with agile. What made you interested in that? Like, what's your catch?
So I've always been somebody who likes like the realness of a situation. Like that's why I like building cars. I like building a physical product. There's something about watching my car drive off at the end of the line that was very satisfying. And even the work that I've done with other clients and through all the different career changes and companies and whatever, at the heart of it is like building something real. I want to leave that organization, that team, that person in a better state than when I started, right? So with lean, it's about improving your business processes. With manufacturing, it's about building better product. Now with agile, it's like building better cultures or a faster way of delivering product or faster way of designing a product, faster way of getting value into customers' hands at the heart of it. And so it wasn't so much about like the machine. I've never been somebody who focuses on the product. The product is like less important to me. I've always liked the process of building something good, building something sustainable, building something well. And so whether it's building something physical like a car, building something not physical like a software system, building a culture like a new way of working or operating model, like that's the process of building has always been the thing that's attracted to me.
Well, transformation can be like very, emotional. Also, like from your
Oh yeah.
experience, it's like because humans are involved in it, and everybody that is a part of the transformation, they should see the state B where everybody's going. They are better in that state B. Not just the organization is better, but everybody's better. And you've been writing about this that sabotage can happen on the frontline staff, but it's
Mhm.
even worse if the sabotage happens on in the middle management layer where the manager just sits, understands that okay, transformation, but not going to happen, like not with this, not with everything, and they just stall, they just don't do it. So how do you really work with those kind of situations when you're somebody who is responsible for inspiring someone to do it, or what
Yeah.
was the key?
I think transformation is about change. And even when people want change, when it comes to actually doing something different, it's hard, right? Like
Hmm.
it's hard. So I think people just really need to understand, like, why is this change important? What does it mean for me? How is this actually going to make my life easier?
Hmm.
And then they'll do it. Like usually, like when you say, let's do transformation, let's do big change, it sounds really grand, but then the people who have to then action it, they start thinking about what does this mean for me? What do I have to change my day to day? Is that going to be easier? That sounds harder. I have to learn this new thing. I don't have time to learn this new thing. I don't like my current way works. Why is this going to be better? So it's really talking through all those different elements and all those different resistance points and trying to get to it. And not everything can be resolved. Some things are like, honestly, this is going to be worse for you, but it's going to be better for 90 other people. And that's why we have to do it, right? Like the totality or the end result is more meaningful, more impactful for the business than for what it means for you as one individual, right?
Yeah, that's
And
true.
that actually comes from different projects that I've worked on. When you talk about middle management and in our pre-conversation, I talked about how transformation is both like bottom up, top down, and across the middle. And so I don't want to spend so much time on the middle without really talking about the top and the bottom. The
Hmm.
people who are doing the work, right? Like when it's a bottom up change, they actually adopt change pretty easily. If it makes their job easier, that makes their life easier, they're going to do it. Right? Nobody wants to spend 20 minutes doing something when they can do it in 20 seconds. That's
Hmm.
why the people who've taken the time to try and understand AI or Gen AI have really adopted it, right? Like they figured out like a couple of prompts and then what worked, what didn't work. And then, it becomes a huge productivity improvement, a big tool that really enhances how they do their work. But then there are those who just either are not certain about it. They can't really see how it's going to help them in their job and they don't kind of have the time,
Hmm.
right? Like might only take 2 minutes to write a prompt, but it's 2 minutes that they don't have to spend that's spent now not working on their day-to-day job or building code or whatever it is. So they just don't really like it's not about the time itself. It's just the context switching that you need to do to now focus on this thing they have to learn. And
Hmm.
so the people who take maybe a bit longer, who don't really try, like it's going to be harder, right? So anyway, so the people who are like doing the work, they see a tool or they see something that helps them, they're going to
Hmm.
adopt it. And you're going to see results pretty quickly. With top level executive management, they come down, they understand because they see the big picture. They see if this is in place and people are doing this, I can see how this will really speed up the business and help us deliver our results. They see the results coming, right? They
Hmm.
see that time horizon. So convincing them of change is probably not that hard because if they can understand the why for them, they're going to be supportive. Now, the people in the middle, they're hearing the direction from their leaders and they
Hmm.
have to give direction to their people who are doing the work. So the
Hmm.
people who are bottom up kind of doing the work, they see how it's working for them, but maybe they don't have the right language to articulate why it's good for the team or why it's good for the business other than generic, like this worked for me. It's going to work for you. Of course, it's going to be great for the business. You're going to make millions of dollars. And they don't know how to actually articulate why that's valuable. And so as a middle management layer, you're trying to like bring all that up, aggregate that up, and you have to present it upwards as well and take direction up and then going down. They have to translate both ways. And
Hmm.
so if they don't fully understand how it works for their people bubbled up to the organization and they don't
Hmm.
understand how this grand like vision statement trickles down into the people, that's where they maybe get a bit stuck because the change is hard. They don't know how to articulate what it means. They don't know how to make it happen. They don't know how to give the right direction and translate from top to bottom or bottom to top. And that's where it struggles. So then if you don't really understand why or what we're doing, people tend to default to what they know.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it gets a bit muddy. And so bringing that middle layer along and making sure they understand what's coming from the top, what's coming from the bottom, and how to digest and package that together as a cohesive whole is really important. In the coaching work I've done, that's really important, right? Because if you forget that middle layer, it doesn't matter how supportive your executives are or how on board your team members or how capable your team members are. If that middle part is missing, the results doesn't get translated the right way. And so that's where you end up in situations where, middle managers like, yes, our boss, like our leaders say we're going to be agile. So just be agile.
Yeah.
But still, I want you to do all the things I need you to do. I still need you to do BRD. Sure, use this Jira thing, but still write a BRD. I still want a 200-page specification document on top of your user stories. You can go to your daily stand-ups, sure, but I still need a weekly project status update. I'm not going to look at your dashboard. You know what I'm saying? So that becomes double work, and then it loses momentum and it loses enthusiasm across the board.
Yeah, because it's very clear. Yeah, it's a very good answer because if the manager is not in line and the people have to do the double work, then it's just like a quiet disapproval. And it transfers through the whole organization. What about the practical side of transformation? In order to deliver a good transformational program, to get from state A to B, you need to have a very good definition of state A. You need to have a lot of data, especially right now with AI, where people say that data is like core. You can have the smartest model in the room, but without right data, without right sources that are feeding it, then it's going to be useless. So how do you go about the system where in order to do the transformation, you need a lot of data? And one thing where you have like an SOP for the process, where you have like all the supporting documentation, but you also have people that have been doing the thing for like 10 years. They are real professional in it, and they have their own unique way for knowing when to pause, when to push something, when to completely neglect, because it's not like this doesn't really matter because they have seen this pattern like a few years ago. When all of this like tribal knowledge really lives in their head and is transferred from like people that are more experienced to newer people, only like in a way that people do transfer that knowledge. What would be Is there even a silver bullet for solving this problem, for getting this knowledge to the people and feeding that into transformation, into AI, into anything?
That's like a lot that we talked about. So I'm trying to break that down. So when it comes to organizations and where people have been doing something that has been working that way for so long and getting them to change, that can be harder. It's again, it's the trade-off and the value, right? This old system has worked for 10 years. Why are we going to a new system? And I think it's just really taking that time and kind of walking through like, well, here's how it's the same, or here how it's different, and here how it is like better, or how it's the same, or how it's going to be worse. Like some things are not going to be as good as this other thing, but here are the trade-offs that we're making as an organization. You can't one-to-one every little thing. You have to look at the totality of it. I remember when I was at Rogers and we were implementing a new sales ordering system, and the reason why we're going to the new system was like, it was like a 60% reduction in monthly costs. Like it was a huge amount of like, just the expense was just massive savings if we could implement it. And for the various teams who are using it, for our old system, for all the teams who are using it and in the new system, all the teams except the sales team their lives would be dramatically easier. But for the sales team, it would be probably the same amount of work, right? It wouldn't be easier, but it wouldn't really be harder. It was just sort of the same amount of work. And so the benefit, so I remember talking to the sales team, they're like, but why should I, right? Like I have other people do this. Why should I do this myself now? And I'm like, well, we need you to do it this way because these are the processes we have set in place. If you want to get commissioned properly, if you want to get good recognition, this will make it easier to make sure that, the campaigns you're selling are set up properly. You have fewer make goods, right? Like you can more easily meet your commitments, which will make your customers happy. And the customers that you make happy because they pay for the advertising, because you don't have to make good on, delivery promises that weren't kept. We're not giving anything away for free. So it actually helps you in your bottom line, in your pocket. So really coming back to like, what's in it for you, right? Like you're going to have more commission in your pocket if you do this, if you follow this properly, right? There'll be fewer misses. You have to spend less time on reconciliation. For our finance team, they have to spend less time on invoicing and reconciliation because they can trust the data in the system more, right? There's a lot of manual work we had to do before and lots of like checking that we had to do to make sure that this was right. And this new system, not only is it saving us money, it's saving us effort, and it's making sure everything's more accurate, which means you're going to make more money. We're going to make more money. Our customers will be more happy, which means we will in turn make more money. Like this is the positive spin that we're doing it.
Yeah.
That's why I niched it. I don't know if all the people were fully bought in, but I didn't need everyone to buy in. I need enough people buy in to like, this is the way we're going forward. There are a couple people who are like, this is the way we're going forward. Your arguments, okay.
Because then the others, they would just follow, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So I think in that piece of it, like it's such a coaching answer. We talk through it, but really I think it comes back to understanding. If people understand the why and why we're doing it, I think that people truly will try and change. If they understand why this is better for them or better for the team they're working with, like they will make the change. A lot of people don't do things mainly because they don't know why. Like most people are not willfully non-compliant, willfully like defied, willfully not doing. Most people want to do their job. They want to do a good job. They want to do it right. Maybe they don't understand the impacts. I'll give you a different story. So remember at GM, when we had to do engineering changes, we have this whole system. There's a whole process if you're making a design change to the vehicle, because there's like lots of ramifications and down the line.
Yeah.
And so when in our system, there are certain fields that you put in that are not necessarily mandatory, but it's helpful if you put it in. And our recommendation, and this is something I brought forward in Agile, like is you make one change per work order. Don't put 3 changes into one work order. But if you're making a lot of changes, especially if you're in that pre-launch phase, if you're designing a new vehicle and it's not really in production yet, it's tempting to put a lot of changes in one work order, because who wants to write 3 work orders when you can just do it in one? When I worked in the plant and I had to be the one looking at the work order and I have to execute the change and validate the changes in there, I learned like, oh, this is why we do one change per work order, because if you put 3 changes in, you only have space to actually document one change. And then you kind of shortcut it by writing in the other changes in a text field. But because the salient information, they could be different part numbers, right? Like if you have like a part, you're changing a screw and a pump and a gasket. If you write out the changes to the other components and you only put in the one part, because you can only put in information by one component at a time.
Yeah.
The other changes get lost, which means not all the changes that as a design engineer I implemented and want to put in is not necessarily making it through, because it's only the information in those key fields, not every detail that's in the notes field. It's like when you put in an order into Uber Eats and you're like, I want this, and then you put in like, please take out this is in the text field, but it's not necessarily in the order. You're hoping that someone who is like filling your order catches it and does it. But if they don't, it's kind of not on them. It's because you try to shortcut the process by saying, yeah, I don't need 1 set of cutlery. I need 200 sets of cutlery. Please include 200 sets of cutlery. Like, no, that's not how the system is designed, right?
What about if you, because whenever you're like AI right now is just another cycle of doing things the new way, but it's so hyped because there's so much money poured into AI, like it's a big bet. And in order to justify this bet, you need to have a lot of adoption, and to like the easiest way to get a lot of adoption is talk about it all the time. And this creates a lot of pressure within the people I know, that they feel like they're falling behind. They understand they can even have the AI projects, but it's like with Instagram. You look at the profiles of people that are like, way more like way more successful than you, that are living a better life, and you feel like your life is kind of worse. So what would be a reframe that you would offer to an executive that is like, I'm sure there isn't someone in the audience that even listening to this podcast, they may feel that, oh my God, like I'm not doing enough, I'll be doing more. What would be a reframe that you would offer to them that to calm this person down, to let them clear their thoughts, find inner peace, and from that state, start making like good decisions?
I think rushing to the solution is where we get tripped up. It's that FOMO mentality, right? Like, you're doing it, I should be doing it. Why can't I doing it? I should be doing it more. But really, I think you need to take a step back and like, what's the problem we're trying to solve? Right? Is this problem something that AI could solve? Maybe it's different technology, but not necessarily AI. Or it could be AI, but not Gen AI. Not every problem is a Copilot problem, or not every problem is a ChatGPT problem, right? It might be an AI problem, but it's not necessarily a Gen AI problem. So like, what's the problem we're trying to solve? What's the right tool to help us solve it? And then is it worth the time, effort, money to invest in this to solve the problem? Right? Because some things it's just faster to like, maybe it's not worth the investment to switch over and all that. You have to like balance that all. So other people might be doing more AI than you are, but their problems are maybe different from the ones you have. So don't rush to like bring in a tool and introduce problems that you might not need to solve right now, right? Like if it's not a problem right now, don't go rushing to fix it, and don't bring in a tool just for the sake of bringing a tool. Bringing in like any kind of technology, any kind of tool, it's not as easy as like, here, I bought a license, go use it. So like, what is this what is the capabilities of this technology or this tool? Is it solving the problems I need to solve? Is it worth the time, effort, money for the licensing, to train the people, to make sure administrators, if people don't know how to use it, who do they go to? If I have to worry about data, how do I make sure the data is right? How do I make sure the business rules are followed? How do I make, like, there's so much that involved with like implementing a technology or a tool that it's not as easy as making it work. I remember talking about this with like clients when we're talking about different technology tools. I'm going to go back to Agile right now. So they talk about like, oh, we're trying to decide between like, we need some sort of task management tool. We'll use Jira because, we're Atlassian, let's use Jira. I'm like, okay, we can use Jira. But if your team doesn't necessarily write code and you don't need all the fields that you use in Jira and you don't need to GitHub or whatever, maybe if you are a corporate function kind of team, you're an HR team and you're using Jira to organize who you're interviewing and when you're interviewing, moving people through the process. Jira itself is probably maybe overpowered as a tool. Maybe Trello is fine. Maybe Microsoft like Planner, I think it's called Planner, is the right tool. Maybe just sticky notes on a whiteboard is going to help you understand where you are in the process. And you don't necessarily need to use Jira, even though it's a company tool, but it's like Jira has so many more capabilities and you're just scratching the surface. So is that really the right way to use it? You'd have to do a lot of configuration to make it match your business process.
Yeah, 100%.
It's not a tool that's designed for business processes. It's designed for software delivery, right? It's optimized for that. You can make it work, but how much effort you want to spend making it work versus like just using something that's a better fit for your purpose.
Exactly. Like it doesn't make sense to implement AI because sometimes it can be an overkill. I can give you an example like from what we do when we do like a digital twin, and the digital twin can do different things on the laptop. So let's say the task is to read a PDF. We can do it two ways. We can have a skill that is like a standard thing that costs like very little in terms of tokens to go use the skill, get an agent to use the skill and then read that PDF. Or we can use like a very expensive computer use agent where basically agent just goes on your computer and reads that PDF. And it's going to be so much more expensive. And you need to know, like, for every problem, maybe Gen AI is not the solution. Maybe it can be solved another way. Or maybe AI right now enabled something that was very limited or was very expensive to do in the old technology. And it can actually make sense to you. So yeah, just being aware of it and not jumping into something because you have to jump onto something.
I will admit I'm a huge supporter of AI, right? Like when it first kind of came, I'm an engineer, I'm a bit skeptical. And then I was like, I don't know, like I have 20 plus years of experience and knowledge and working and like communicating, whatever. Like, I don't know if AI is going to really help make my life easier. When I was in consulting at Adaptivate, we were doing it. Again, our clients are starting to ask questions about the space. They're trying to understand AI strategy. How does AI fit into their corporate strategy, into technology strategy? And so as an organization, we want to be more knowledgeable, more experienced about AI and Gen AI so that we could advise our clients the right way. So I started trying different things. And I will admit the first couple of times I was like, this is more work to kind of figure it out than to like just do it myself. But then as I used it more and we're using it in specific situations. For me, like I'm not going to be going to AI, like Gen AI, ChatGPT, and be like, make me a meme about, a cat riding a unicorn flying over a rainbow. Like that's just not how I am going to use AI. I'm very pragmatic. I want it to be very productive. I want to have like a purpose. Like I'm very much about function and purpose. Why spend time on something if it's not going to help me with anything? So when we started using it to like craft better RFP responses, making sure that our responses are like cohesive, coherent, whatever. When I'm building collateral for clients, making sure like it actually went a lot faster. I'm like, oh, this is actually helping me kind of organize all my thoughts. What would take me 3 days of iterating on myself, I can just kind of do in a couple of hours, right? It's still a lot of time, but I can actually do it faster because I can work with myself a lot faster. And for the work that I do, and even now in my company now, I build a lot of executive decks. I build a lot of executive materials, and I don't build necessarily like weekly reporting updates because that you can standardize. AI can certainly help because that's a productivity improvement. But I build like I work with executives on like changing the organization. What does organizational effectiveness look like? How do we change organizational behavior? So when I put material in front of them, I'm trying to shape how they think, right? I have to move them down a certain path of like, if we think this is the way we should do it, that's okay. But I think we should also do this other thing. And I can't just be like, nope, just do it this way. Listen to me. I'm your transformation expert. That's never really going to fly. They're going to ask like, okay, but why? And so if I can craft a compelling, still a consultant at heart, like craft a compelling slide that explains, here's the problem, here's the solution, here's our approach, and here's how it's going to fix it. If I can do that elegantly on one slide and they can read it and understand it and digest it, that's a lot of value.
It's a wow effect.
For sure. And so I don't think most people tend to use AI in that way. I think it's just the nature of my role, like the consulting transformation, like the change aspect of what I do. So it's just trying to make sure, how do I craft this message in a way that's going to resonate with the audience in the right way, get them to ask the questions I want them to ask and not have them spin on the things I don't need them to spin on.
Yeah,
right. So I think it's been a good check to make sure I'm crafting it right and then making sure it's coherent. So I'm a huge supporter of AI. I use it quite a lot.
And it's because, look, it's multiplying you. Essentially, like you're taking the essence of the work that you really like to do, and you're, okay, I'll use AI to make this more efficient and be more me.
Yeah. It's a massive productivity enhancement for sure. I think when I talk with people in my company and we talk about AI and how to use it, I'm like, I think this comes back to my approach. It's just not telling it. Like, I'm not someone who just focuses on telling people what the change is. Like, I really want to like have them buy in and understand the why. Like, to me, understanding the why is so important. So for me, if I'm teaching someone like how to use AI, I can tell them a couple of prompts and I can show them how to use it. But if I can give them some good prompts, like that they can see by example, like telling you, hey, just write a better prompt, that's not going to be helpful. If I can show you, here's a prompt I wrote to like pull information from the last 3 sets of meetings with this executive, and I have to condense it into a 1-pager summary so that he can take it to his like, whatever leadership forum. Help me condense the right points and put it on here, and then put myself into his shoes so that he can then say, these things, like what are things that are important to him, what does he want to highlight. And so if I can walk people through an example where I pulled information together, how I shaped it, they're like, I didn't realize AI could do that. I'm like, yeah, if you're just used it, please summarize this email. You're never going to that's just scratching the surface. But if you can say, I have to create this weekly update. I had 3 different meetings with 3 different suppliers, and I had this and that and this recording. Can you consolidate the information from all those things? I don't need every single update. I just need the top 3 highlights that my executives need to know for this week. What is burning? What do they need to know? What's on track? And then AI can help synthesize that information and help you focus. If you weren't in the meetings, AI is not a good replacement for you being in those meetings, because you still as a human be like, oh, you pulled those things because that was like the term that was repeated the most, but that's not actually the thing that was important. It was actually this. And so you're kind of validating what it pulled together, but it makes your job a lot faster instead of sitting there being like, oh, what was that meeting again? Let me fix my notes. What was that other meeting? Oh, there's an email that person that sent me. Like, you're not consolidating. You're still doing it, but you have an assistant to help you kind of consolidate faster so that you can get to synthesis and then summary a lot faster. So
this was amazing. When folks from the audience want to reach out to you and maybe ask some more questions or just want to connect with you, what would be the easiest way for them to do this?
I'm on LinkedIn. So maybe throw my LinkedIn profile in there. Yeah, I'm happy to chat, to send a message, and we'll figure it out.
Include your LinkedIn in the show notes and on the LinkedIn itself. This was amazing. Thank you so much for the time, for the conversation, for the insights. I personally loved it, and this was amazing. I learned a lot while really admiring, and it was very interesting.
I'm glad. Thank you.
Thank you so much.